How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another Nightly Review. Today I'm going to be going over the Golden Knights 3-2 overtime loss to the Minnesota Wild, or not Minnesota Wild, Colorado Avalanche. Sorry, when you come off of 7 games against them, say their name a lot. Anyway, let's get into this one. I think the Golden Knights had a really good game. Played a really good game. It's too bad that the referees in this game were horrible. And I think Avs fans can agree with me. Because the power play goal that Rantanen scored was not a penalty. That's not a penalty. I'm sorry to say that's not a penalty. In the playoffs and overtime, no, that's not a penalty. And there were a lot of things in the third period that were far more egregious that were not called. But you're going to call a little rinky-dink call like that? Seriously? Like, seriously, you're going to call that? That's a call? But you're not going to call, other things in the third period, and even throughout the rest of this game. There were far, far more egregious penalties that were not called. But that's what you call? Smith turns, Rantanen drops his stick. That's a slash. Was there an attempted slash? Was there any horrible movement of Smith? No. He turned, their sticks were tied up, and Rantanen dropped his stick. Now, I'm not going to say, oh, it is embellishment. I mean, there might have been. I don't know. I wasn't, I watched it. But I'm sure Smith could have had the strength to pull Rantanen's stick out of his hand, but it clearly wasn't intentional. And a call like that in overtime, ridiculous. Ridiculous. And there are other calls in this game. There are things that should have been called. And there just weren't. And I said when the Golden Knights did things that they should have been called. Like the Brown thing, the high stick probably should have been called. That was right before. How was that not called late in the third? But Smith's little rinky-dink one was called because NHL refs have no integrity, none. NHL refs have no integrity. And they will be treated as such from here. There have been some really, really, really bad calls this season. Like, really bad ones. I've noticed that ever since the whole Tim Peel thing, there have been some really, really bad calls. Late in the second period, Chandler Stevenson totally interfered with. And then, on the same play, Carlson basically boarded an Avs player. No calls there? No calls. No calls. No calls. Oh, Rantanen dropped his stick in overtime. Oh, guess it's a penalty. Anyway, now that we got that rant out of the way, okay, let's talk about the actual game. Okay. So, first, let's go over the first period. Not going to go play-by-play because I don't want to. So, anyway, they lose the first period 2-1. They're down 2-1 after the first period. And one of the main reasons of that is they took 4 penalties. Now, granted, those penalties, valid, completely valid. I had no problem with the Golden Knights having 4 penalties and getting 1 power play in the first period because I thought they were valid. They were mostly valid. And some of the penalties the Golden Knights took, it was the Avs who generated them. Golden Knights were trying to stop the Avs, and because of the way the Avs were playing in the offensive zone, the Golden Knights were forced to take penalties, and I had no problem with that. Now, the second and third period and overtime were where the calls got bad, but those were good calls. You cannot take 4 penalties like that. I understand that a couple of them were necessary. Theodore doing delay of game, not really necessary. So, yeah. So the second period, the Golden Knights start to roll. The second and third period, the Golden Knights dominated this game, which was shocking. And I'm curious to see how they do tonight, considering 100% capacity at the Fortress. So it's going to be interesting to see. I'm glad that fans are going to be back. But yeah, another problem that the Golden Knights had later in this game was they just hit the post so many times. I think they had 5 or 6 posts by the end of the game, And not only that, but Philip Grubauer, when he made saves, he made some good saves. Alex Tuck got robbed a couple times. Pacioretty got stopped on a breakaway. Tuck got stopped on a breakaway. He was pretty good. It was a great game. It was a great game. It was a good game. The Avs played really well. The Golden Knights played really well, especially in the second and third period. They outshot the Avalanche like 36 or 38 to no 36 to 6 or 36 to 12 in the second two periods. They played a great game. It's just a shame that the great game was ruined because of a power play that should not have been called in overtime. If you wanted to call a penalty, you could have called it early in the game. If you wanted to call a penalty, that rinky dink, you got to call it early in the game. And I think what they were trying to do is do a makeup call for the whole Brown thing. I'm seriously, I think that's what they did. And the referees ruined the game. It was a great game. Anyone could have won it. If it had been, an even strength, there was a defensive breakdown where the Avs had scored, it was still a great game. It was still a great game. Golden Knights played really well, far better than they did in game one. Every period of this game, even the one where they were down 2-1, was better than every period they played in game one. So, better in every way. But, again, ruined. I actually got to have fun watching this game. That's why I'm not too mad about it. I'm not that mad at it. I'm not angry with the Golden Knights. I'm not even angry at the Avalanche. This is a heavily contested playoff series. No problem with it so far. If I was a Montreal fan, on the other hand, the game before this one, let's talk about how I feel about the Jets. Anyway, yeah, so, only party I'm mad at in this game is NHL referees because they have no integrity. If you're going to miss a call, that sucks. Make sure you call it next time. You don't need to do makeup calls. I don't understand why they do it. It honestly ruins games. It honestly, seriously ruins games. So yeah, guys, that is really it for this one. I hope that tonight the game isn't ruined by NHL refs, but we'll see. But good game for the Golden Knights. I know they lost, sucks, but hey, I'm not blaming anyone on the Golden Knights. So with that out of the way, that's it for this one, guys. If you want to get my thoughts on the game during the game, you can follow me on Twitter at 2_pad, especially if the NHL refs make bad calls. But that's it for this one, guys. I will see you next time.